my poser when I want freedom. You my poser when I want justice. You my poser when I want equality. Want me to go somewhere and fight for you? You won't even stand up for me right here in America.
This is The Rundown. I am Zach B. Here to bring you another edition of The Rundown podcast. Thank you for listening, those who are listening. Subscribe and make sure you rate us 5 stars. Give me 5 stars when you rate us and review us on The Rundown podcast. Gonna discuss Andrew Luck's retirement. AFC football. Last time we talked on The Rundown podcast, we gave you the NFC. Well, now we're going to give you the AFC edition of what we believe each division out of the AFC is going to bring, which team out of each division is going to bring to the table this upcoming season. I'll have a guest on the show to discuss those matters. A lot to talk about once again. First things first, the first thing I want to dive into is the Andrew Luck's retirement. And how me and most people close to me know that I am indeed a Indianapolis Colts fan since perhaps maybe even since like 2004 when Michael Vick was on the cover of Madden. He was either picking Michael Vick or I was picking Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning going no huddle, touchdown after touchdown after touchdown. It was easy. Reggie Wayne, Marvin Harris, it was easy. But I will say this. Andrew Luck's retirement indeed caught me by surprise, seeing that it was on a Saturday, 2 weeks before the NFL season is going to start. We're less than 2 weeks away from the NFL season, and Andrew Luck has decided that I don't want to play football anymore. And that caught me really by surprise. You know, I was really shook because when you look at the season that Andrew Luck had, he had a phenomenal season last season. You know, comeback player of the year, second in touchdowns. He played phenomenal. Over 4,000 yards passing. He played pretty well. They won a playoff game. The Indianapolis Colts, they were not even irrelevant. They were irrelevant in the AFC South the year he was hurt. And they come back and they win a playoff game. And it looks like they were heading in the right direction with Andrew Luck. However, injuries after injuries after injuries with Andrew Luck, and the fact that it just took a toll on him mentally, physically, and you got to think longevity, of your life. You got to think of longevity of your life. And so I kind of understood it after a while, because at first I was like, oh, we're just coming off a great season. I mean, you got the ankle calf injury, which, when stuff like that lingers on you and you've had a lacerated kidney and you've had, a shoulder injury, a major shoulder injury, and you've been hit top 5 most out of all QBs in the NFL over the last 7 seasons, since you've been in the NFL. So from that standpoint, I can understand why Andrew Luck decided to walk away from football. Now, the fans' initial reaction, with him being booed at Lucas Oil Stadium, I feel like that's unfair to Andrew Luck, The NFL is a dangerous sport. It's a dangerous sport. But you know what they say, when you sign up, you know what you're getting yourself into. When you sign that contract, when you sign up to play that football and be out there on that field and make millions of dollars, you know what you're getting yourself into. However, I will say this. He took a lot of hits. And in the sport of football, you take a lot of hits. And even Rob Gronkowski, he even spoke about his retirement and how Patriot fans want him to come back. And he doesn't want to come back. He wasn't enjoying football. The pain, week after week, day after day. Rob Gronkowski had major back surgery, forearm surgery, constant hits to the knees, He's 6'7", 250. They're aiming at his knees. Cornerbacks, linebackers aiming at his knees, Gronkowski's knees. Week after week. It takes a toll on you. And yes, it is at an early age. Andrew Luck, retirement, 29. Rob Gronkowski, 30. You may see a pattern with NFL players calling it quits early for their own safety, for their own good, their own health, because health is more important than wealth every day, all day. It's that important, Health is just that important. And so for Andrew Luck, I commend him on doing what he wanted to do. He wanted to walk away from football, and being able to do that and having the luxury to do that is phenomenal. Because when you think about it, having a job where you go in every day and you have to make money because you have bills to pay, correct? You have bills to pay. So I know some of us wish that we can just not go into work and just sit at home and relax every day. But we can't do that because how are the bills are going to get paid? Andrew Luck has made a lump sum amount of money in the NFL and decides that he wants to do something else, then so be it. He has the luxury to do that. All of us does not have the luxury to do that like Andrew Luck does, to not go into work, to quit our jobs, just to say, hey, I don't want to work anymore. All of us doesn't have the luxury to do that. Families, bills, supporting others, whatever it may be. So, hats off to Andrew Luck. Hats off to him on deciding to walk away from the game. And now, the Indianapolis Colts are in the AFC, so we will dive into that team and we're going to figure out and find out exactly how well they will be now that Andrew Luck is retiring. Do you see this team as a playoff contender still without Andrew Luck? With Jacoby Brissett behind center? That's going to be discussed with my special guest here on the Rundown Podcast. Part of the new edition of the new Rundown Podcast, we'll be having interviews. Get a chance to sit down and even over the phone, having a discussion and give their insight on what's going on as it relates to sports and everything else in between. So we'll be having special guests from here on out on the Rundown Podcast. So make sure you stay tuned and you also subscribe. So don't worry, first person I'm going to introduce to you, he is a fellow Eastern Michigan University alum. He is a motivational speaker, an all-around athletic trainer, husband. Ladies and gentlemen, he is also, once again, an EMU fellow alum. I give you Amani Bass. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right, man. I can't complain.
Recently moved, man. How you doing, man? I know that Texas life got to be good. I know the weather's been great for you.
So, yeah. It's definitely been different, man. It's hot down here, but, I can't complain. I'm getting away from that snow, you know what I'm saying? So, I'm just enjoying it, man. Trying to get things going.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, man. I know, you're in that transition, and I know good things are going to be happening for you. Man, I recently just, moved to as well. I didn't escape the snow, but I did relocate out of Michigan. Us both living in Michigan our whole lives. We've taken that next challenge on moving out the state, and I didn't move too far. I'm still touching Michigan, but, I'm still going to be all right, though. I'm in the city that I've always wanted to be in, Chicago. So it's all right, and you got that Texas life going, man, where football is next to church, man.
Well, definitely down here. Football is church. Basketball big down here too, though, man. A lot of talent come out from Texas, so there's definitely some opportunities down here for sure. I just got to tap into them.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. I know you will. And you're going to go full throttle as it relates to getting on board, networking and getting connected with the community and especially the sports community as well. So I know you're going to do big things. I know you're at the AT&T Stadium, right, where the Cowboys play, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And how's that been for you?
It hasn't been bad, man. It's easy work, man. I don't do too much. I'm on the tour side of things, so, people coming in there for tours. So there's going to be a lot of NFL fans from other opposing teams from Dallas Cowboys that come in there and want to go on tour before the games. Like I know this weekend, Auburn and Oregon play, actually, and a lot of their fans are going to come up. We had a couple fans come in earlier. They'll come up. They want to do tours and ask questions about the field, stuff like that. So it's cool, man. You just get to be there. I'm not really a Cowboys fan, but just being in that stadium is huge, man. It's definitely a spectacle.
Man, Jerry's World, huh? The $1 billion pen place.
Yeah.
So, man, we got some football to discuss, man. Got a lot of football to talk about here as it relates to specifically the AFC, man. We got each division. There may be some surprises, and then we may see the same old pattern from some divisions. It's going to be very unique, man. So the first thing I want to ask you is how do you feel about, the AFC North? How do you feel about that division, and who do you believe can actually come out on top?
Man, that division is really, it's a three-team race in my eyes. And those three teams are the Ravens, Browns, and Steelers. Obviously, it's funny, saying the Browns because, history tells us they have never really been good. But obviously on paper, they look real good, man. They have a lot of pieces. You got Baker Mayfield at quarterback. You have Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb at running backs. Kareem Hunt is suspended the first 6 games, so he won't be there. But when he comes, that's going to bring some more versatility to the team. Then, we all know about the receiving core. Odell, you got Jarvis, you got Callaway. So, they got some big names on the offensive side. Then you have David Njoku at tight end. Can't forget about him. And then, on defense, you got Myles Garrett. There's a war at one corner. They drafted Grady Williams. So, they got a lot of firepower on both sides of the ball. It can really make them dangerous, man. So, we're going to really see how they're going to apply that to the field. They look good in their first preseason game, but, it's just preseason. So, we're going to see, come soon, September 8th, see what's really going down. But I believe the Browns, Steelers, and Ravens are really in the race for it. The Ravens, obviously, you turn over the reins to Lamar Jackson. He left the playoffs last year. Now they built around him this year. I think they're going to do good, man. I think he takes that next step as a passer. The stories that you've heard coming out of campus, he's progressed as a passer. He's been more accurate. He's been on point. There's some criticism because people say they haven't really seen that progression in preseason games, but I think you'll see it come season, man. They're not really showing a whole lot really during preseason. So, and then also the Steelers, man. The Steelers are always there. You can't really count out the Steel Curtain. Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season there. Now, yes, it's a big blow. You lost Le'Veon Bell, but James Conner stepped in last year. Had a great year. Looking for him to be productive again. And another blow. You lose AB. Big blow. Yeah, receiver, but you had to do some Schuster. You have James Washington, who's been stepping up looking good in preseason. So you have some options there.
Yeah, but I will say this, though. That will be a lot of production to replace as it relates to Antonio Brown. Now, who do you believe is going to be able to fill that gap? Now, you mentioned James Washington, but will that be enough? And also, how do you think the defense is going to be for the Pittsburgh Steelers? Because it looks as if they're getting on. They're looking a little faster. They're hitting harder. What do you see from the Pittsburgh Steelers? Because you mentioned the Browns as a potential front runner for the division, but some people are saying, don't count out, those Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh, definitely. You can't never count the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm not even counting them out. Like I said, on paper the Browns look good. And they look like the front runners that should win the division, but You can never go against Mike Tomlin, man. To replace that in production, man, I really think it's going to have to be like a team effort. Obviously, the system was big last year, but like, it's going to have to be bigger this year. He's stepping into that number one role. So now we're looking at his production going up because he's going to be targeted more. And now we're looking at, like I said, James Washington. So we're going to need him to step up as that secondary receiver. And then as far as me, like James Conner, if he can be kind of not even as much as Le'Veon Bell, but just similar in some facets, like he was, like I said, like he was last year. That's going to take a big load off of Big Ben. And then it all comes down to Mike Tomlin. I think he's going to put them in position to win because he always does. And that's a big factor. And then their defense, man, obviously I'm a Michigan guy. I love Michigan, but Devin Bush is looking like a great fit. You lose Ryan Shazier, and I see him walking around stuff. Hopefully he can really come back and play football, but you literally replaced him with, which I think was a future Hall of Famer. Louis Riddick said that he was the best pound-for-pound player in this draft, regardless of position. So that's big. I mean, he's shown. I mean, what linebackers running 4-4, 4-3, bro? He's gonna come hit. He's physical. He can cover. So I mean, the defense is always gonna be the steel curtain, man. I think they're gonna be all right, man.
Yeah, I believe so too. Now, the team that you didn't mention, that's the team that actually has the easiest schedule out of all the teams out of this division, the AFC North, here with Amani Bass on the Rundown podcast. The easiest schedule out of that division is the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, they have, again, the easiest schedule, and then after that, it's still going to be the Baltimore Ravens, and then it follows up with the Cleveland Browns, and then the Pittsburgh Steelers having the toughest schedule out of everyone in that division. Your thoughts on that? Do you think the Cincinnati Bengals can do something? I know AJ Green is going to be out probably for a long amount of time, but I know they have Tyler Boyd and Andy Dalton's look to have some sort of resurgence this season.
Truthfully, man, I'm not big on Bengals, man. I just haven't seen enough, man. They were kind of okay with mediocrity, especially with keeping, Marvin Lewis for as long as they did. Like, he really wasn't getting the job done, man. Andy Dalton, man, this is really like a make or break year for him. And AJ Green going down, and him kind of being in and out all the time lately. It's really tough, man. I know they have an easy schedule, but in the NFL, especially with that team, I don't think nothing is easy. You don't know John Ross is going to be there. You had Tyler Boyd, though. Great receiver, for sure. But I just don't know, man. They have enough, man. Obviously, you got stable for running backs. You know what I'm saying? You got Joe Mixon. You got Giovanni Bernard. So that position is good. Compare them to the other three teams in that division, I just don't see, even though the schedule might be the easiest, I just don't see how they stack up or how they're doing. I really think it could be a 6-10 season, maybe even worse for them.
Yeah, they may go, maybe 5-11, 4-12, because again, yes, they do have one of the easiest schedules, but they have a new coach, like you said. They have new coach Zach Taylor, and that offensive line didn't really improve much in the course of the offseason, which was one of their key struggles last season. And then when you look at the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson, you hope that, like you said, the accuracy can improve this season, and you hope like the new additions and the new pieces that he's been able to get, with Hollywood Brown, and they got new positions at running back as well. For the most part, everyone is going with a 2-team race to win the division, which is the Pittsburgh Steelers and the new look Cleveland Browns. And, the new look Cleveland Browns, they also have a new coach too. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens out of that division. But now let's talk about the AFC South, man, and what we probably thought was going to happen versus what we believe now with the new news that broke, just recently.
Oh, man. Right. Yeah, man. I guess you can start right there with the Colts. Big news coming out with Andrew Luck retirement, man. You hate to see it, but I understand it, man. You just want to get healthy, man, and in this day and age, nothing is more important than your health, mentally and physically. So I definitely understand. I see people bashing them, booing them. I don't get it, man. It's kind of like, as fans, we love to see people, kill themselves for our enjoyment. Like, that's not realistic, you know what I'm saying? They have lives, they have families, so I respect him for the decision, man. Because it's not easy. I know it wasn't easy for him, especially for a guy like him, man. You can't deny his competitive nature, his spirit. And he want to go out there and win, but he just couldn't stay healthy, man. He's being hurt now, and become maybe minor to all of us, but it's been like he said, it's been a 4-year cycle of him in and out of injury, rehab. That can control you, man. Basically, definitely mentally. It's like, am I ever going to be healthy? Am I ever going to be right? Then you playing the pain, getting shot. You just, yeah, man. But enough about, really just the downside of that, man. Man, just let going, man. I hate to see him go. I still think the Colts are going to be a good team. They have the Colts percent. He's proving he can win. I think he's good enough to get into the playoffs and maybe win a game in the playoffs. I really do. I don't think.
Really?
Yeah, I definitely do. I don't think the Colts are just out of it. He's still, yes, he's just Andrew Luck. Is he great? Of course he's great. But I think the Colts can come in there with the women that he has around him and be good, man. Look, you had T.Y. Hilton. They signed the Ohio State guy, Pierce Campbell, and then you had Deion Kane, who was hurt in 2017, and then I think last year too towards ACL from Clemson. If y'all watch the preseason, the boys out there looking like a beast. I mean, he's looking like he's ready to go, explosive. He looks like a Clemson receiver. I will say right now, Clemson is receiver you, and he looks like he's the next line to be a star. He probably should have been a star a couple years ago when he first came out, but he was injured. But he's looking like another stable receiver. So I think they have some, and then their defense, their defense is really good, man. You have Malik Hooker back there. I want to give a shout out to my cousin, Corey Willis. He's in the rotation right now. He's working his way up the depth chart. There's just some big additions to this team that I think is going to help them out. So I don't think we can just write the Colts off. If we're looking at who's in the division, you got the Texans, the Jaguars, the Titans. Okay, yeah, Jaguars are going to be tough on defense, and their offense is probably going to get better this year for the quarterback. I mean, it's going to be better. I know that for sure. How much better, we don't know, but it's going to be better. And then you got the Texans, and we don't really know what's going on with the Texans. Lamar Miller just went down. They're trying to trade Jadeveon Clowney. The Titans are in the playoffs last year. They're good, but is Marcus Mariota going to take the next step? Is he going to be that franchise quarterback they're looking for, or they're going to have to go with Ryan Tannehill? So there's a lot of, there's some question marks in the AFC South. Like the Colts, for me, the Colts' biggest competition is probably the Jaguars and Texans offensively.
Well,
they didn't get Johnson, and they just signed Jay Ajayi. So
I'll say this: I
think the running game is going to get right back on track a little bit. And then you got versatility with Duke Johnson. So I think this is going to be all right. Defense is going to be okay. Having Jadeveon Clowney is a big miss. You still got J.J. Watt. Still got pieces there. They did lose Tyrann Mathieu, though. So I think this is going to be good. The offense is going to be good, I believe so. Especially if they can protect Deshaun Watson. But, right now the Colts are not out of it. Look at the division, the Colts are not out of it by any means. They're still there. Jacoby Brissett is not some loser. It's not some guy you can pull off the street. Taylor Patriot, he's building the system. I think he'll be okay. This is going to be in the low. No, people can't expect that. But I think it's going to be all right. And then, and I think he's kind of revenge. If you don't like what he's doing, or you don't like him as much, well, they go draft a quarterback next year and see where they go from there. Kind of push him and put him in competition and push him. But I think the Colts will be all right.
Well, you mentioned the Houston Texans, and Lamar Miller did tear his ACL, which was extremely unfortunate, especially considering that it was in a preseason game and it was the first snap of a preseason game. That alone right there was a tremendous blow for them. But however, they did trade for Duke Johnson from the Cleveland Browns, so they still have a solid run game, and I believe they'll have a solid backup for Duke Johnson as well. And then you mentioned the potential trade with Jadeveon Clowney. if I'm the Houston Texans, I'm trying to keep him just to have that depth on each side of your defensive line, you know, or just front seven in general. And so, you know, that's going to be something to pay attention to. But like you said, you mentioned the coach still having a shot. I'm on the fence with it because, you know, Jacoby Brissett, you know, his full season, he went, you know, only 4-11 in 2017, didn't do very well. 7 interceptions, 13 touchdowns. So, you know, it was some growing pains. But I believe, you know, there are weapons, like you said, you mentioned Deion Kane and then Ghost, you know, T.Y. Hilton, Eric Ebron, Marlon Mack. You know, they got some pieces to get things going. And then on the defensive side, you know, it's only going to keep improving as it did from last season. But, you know, the Tennessee Titans, they made the playoffs last season out of this division. And so do you see them being able to compete for a playoff spot again? And then the Jacksonville Jaguars now having an actual quarterback and not having the quarterback that they had before. He was so bad, I can't even think of his name at the moment because that's how bad he was. Yeah, Blake Bortles. They now have Super Bowl MVP from the Philadelphia Eagles with Nick Foles. They actually have a shot now. Do you think they'll be able to compete in the AFC South for this division? Yeah, the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I definitely think so, man. Like I said, with this division, if we're looking at it as far as top to bottom, you know, this division is wide open. You know what I'm saying? You kind of just compare it to other divisions, you know, where it might be a 2-man race or a 1-man race. This division is really a 14 race. I could believe, especially with Andrew Luck going down. If he didn't go down, I'd probably be tabbing the Colts as the favorite. You know, Texas might have got a wild card or something like that. Texas Jaguars might have got a wild card, but the Colts would be the favorite. With him going down, I think this puts everybody in that division kind of on even ground. Like, you know, obviously the Texans have Deshaun Watson. So you got a generational quarterback. You got him, he should be able to elevate his team, but just the uncertainty with the team and, you know, are they going to be able to protect Deshaun Watson? Because, you know, he was hit a lot last year. Are they going to keep him? Are they going to trade him? That uncertainty, you know, because that's going to make things, I think, weaker, especially if they don't get anybody back and just get draft picks. You know, we don't know how that's going to look. So this now creates it wide open, and, you know, you want to talk about the Tennessee Titans, you know, and I'm looking at their roster, and you definitely had pieces. You added A.J. Brown to Ole Miss. He actually was probably the better wide receiver in college than DK Metcalf, you know, but DK Metcalf got more of the hype because he's a freaking nature, you know, so he's 6'4", huge, runs the 4.3. But A.J. Brown is a great receiver. You know, I've been thinking if he can work his way into the certain lineup, I think that would be beneficial for Tennessee with Corey Davis, and you got Adam Humphries. But I think really the biggest key for the Tennessee Titans is they're going to go as far as Marcus Mariota brings them. The defense is solid. They got one of the top safeties, if not the best safety in the game. You know, their defense, like I said, the defense is solid. It's all about their offense, man. Except that they don't have weapons. You know, you got Deion Lewis running back. You have Derrick Henry. So you got some weapons. You might not have the best weapons. We've got weapons enough. And really, the biggest question, can he stay healthy? Can he stay on the field? You know, are they going to protect them? You got to go off the line. I know the line is suspended. So that's going to be a big blow. But, you know, it's really, like I said, it's really going to go as far as Marcus Mariota goes. Progresses this year, I think, you know, they're in that position to make the playoffs. Do they make it? I really don't know, man. I'm indecisive about it. But I really think they'll be in their own driver's seat as far as potential to make it if he progresses. I mean, you got Ryan Tannehill as a backup, but Ryan Tannehill never did nothing in Miami. Ryan Tannehill is Ryan Tannehill.
So if you had to give me a win total for each team out of this division, what would you say? Each prediction?
prediction-wise, I think the Texans are all goes well. I think the Texans can be 10-6. I think they're predicted to win like 8 games. I feel like it's that's like tied with I want to say the Titans or something like that. Or the Jaguars. I forgot what I've seen, but I think that they can win 9-10 games. So either 10-6, 9-7 for the Texans. I believe the Colts. Colts they made it on the sand at 9-7, 8-8. Maybe pushing for 10-6, depending on Jacoby Brissett. Jaguars is tricky, man, because your defense is going to win you games. And then, I believe they're supposed to win this. I'm going to say 11-5, man. I'm going to say 11-5 for the Jaguars. At worst, 9-7. But I'm going to say that 11-9 win gap. And then for the Titans, man, it's hard, man. I want to say the Titans, I think they're projected to go like 6-10 this year. I'm gonna say 8-8, 9-7 for them.
Okay, so that's going to be a strong division with basically only maybe one team with a losing record.
Yeah, who what was that? Maybe no, I don't think anybody. I mean, maybe losing record. I think I said 8-8 for the Titans and Colts at the worst. So I mean, maybe one of them have a losing record, but like I said, that division is so tight. It's based on the Titans who are out there. It's just not. There's nobody like really ahead of anybody, maybe besides the Jaguars, because they got a big defense. So like their defense is putting them ahead, and then they got stable at quarterback. It's just I'm worried about the receivers for the Jaguars. That's really about it. Receivers and you got to look for that. Hopefully he comes out and has a big year. You do have D.D. Westbrook, and I think D.D. Westbrook is good, and he's going to be good for them. And they got Chris Conley, so they got a couple weapons, but they're not proven. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really know about Jaguars. Their offense is kind of similar to the Titans as far as you don't got no really big headliners as far as the receivers, but can they get the job? They can possibly get the job done. And then they got a championship caliber quarterback that can kind of push them to that level. So
this is the rundown. Don't forget, this is the rundown with the boys, the group, whatever we decide to be that day.
You my opposer when I want freedom. You my opposer when I want justice. You my opposer when I want equality. Want me to go somewhere and fight for you? You won't even stand up for me right here in America.